Hello everyone and welcome to the first video of this new year. Today we're in the UK at Kingston Lacy Manor House and Estate, and they do have a smaller Japanese garden which I would like to show you. So let's go. We're about to enter the garden section of this estate, and behind me you can see the manor house, which is closed today, so you can only see it from the outside, but it's really a beautiful old building. And around the corner there behind the hedge are the formal gardens, which we're going to be walking through to get to the Japanese garden. We're here at the border of the Japanese garden, we think, so this is also new for me being here. Here's an example of a really nicely cloud-pruned tree that you often see in gardens in Japan. And normally these shrubs used for that are Japanese hollies, or they're used a lot for this. The one in the background, I'm not quite sure what it is 100%. It could be a type of holly, but it could also be something different. But at least you can see the shape and the pads that have been formed from the original branches. So a lot of these shrubs here are evergreen shrubs, which is really nice for winter pictures because they never lose their leaves, and you always get this nice green canvas in the garden using evergreen shrubs. And here I just saw, look at that, it's black bamboo. Looks to be the same as we have at home. So this is a running type of bamboo. That means ideally a root block is used around this one to contain it really. So they have a few plants here, you can see in the background also, and I cannot see a root block, but I'm sure they're taking care of it somehow because it seems to be contained in this like circle it is in. And look at the canes in this really beautiful black color. We're now at the official entrance of the Japanese garden, and in the background here I want to show you arrow bamboo, which we also have at home. This is also a running type of bamboo, so it needs to be ideally contained by using root block. It gives a really nice light hedge because it has thinner canes compared to the black bamboo which you saw. And here also is interestingly, and it looks like a yew tree actually. So you usually only know them as shrubs or larger bushes, but this is an actual tree as it looks like. And looking back along the pathway, we're going to go around this way. You see loads of normal laurel cut into various shapes, like smaller ones and larger ones, and even hedges. This here looks like a black pine, a younger tree. So I don't think this one has been shaped yet. Maybe some bottom branches have probably been taken off, but it will, in years to come, it will certainly be a nice shape. Looking at the pine from this angle, you can actually see how it was purposely planted in a slanting style, so the trunk isn't straight in the ground, the trunk is leaning to one side. Here you can see examples of the way shrubs are typically planted in gardens in Japan. With these you see either a single shrub being planted like this one and this one, or looking back there, several shrubs being planted together, and they are grown to the point where they actually grow into one large shrub. So other than traditional gardens in Japan, there are always, of course, different takes on the Japanese gardening style. And this garden so far, as we've seen, seems to be, again, a very interesting take on it. And in the background, we can find white birches, which I find interesting for a Japanese garden. Also a little pond back there, and planted here everywhere again is the laurel in pruned to different shapes. And looking on the other side, those two trees or shrubs with, you can see actually the the buds on it already are magnolias, as far as I can tell from the branch structure. In the background you can see an area with loads of Japanese maples. Since they're all deciduous, of course they don't have any leaves on at the moment, but you see the beautiful branch structure of different cultivars. So coming from this maple area, we're now going this pathway here and see what's in there. And what I find really interesting is the bamboo you can see in the background. So if we go a bit closer, you can see how it was planted in sections or in areas, and also that it is pruned to the same height. So this is quite low pruned. This bamboo would grow normally a lot taller, but they all keep it to the same height and in different sections where they grow it. This is really interesting, an interesting design and approach. I've actually never seen that. And here's our first stone lantern. That seems to be a real granite lantern, really beautiful. Behind the bamboo sections you can see this large area opening up again with loads of Japanese maples. And looking towards the background there, you can see how this is integrated with the existing old mature trees that are native to this area. And we've actually just learned that this entire Japanese garden has been reinstated and restored, and only since 2005, so this is fairly young what has been planted here in the Japanese style. There's another lovely section back there with hydrangeas that have the dried blossoms on, so let's walk there and have a look. So looking here at all the dried blossoms, this is a really nice winter decoration. I think this is quite common actually, generally speaking, that the hydrangeas aren't pruned before spring because they look really lovely also in winter. And you can see the new buds already coming out. And there's another large stone lantern. Let's have a look to that. In the background you can see more large bamboo, and we're going to walk past it. And here are loads of Japanese hollies, a typical evergreen shrub that we also grow at home. Here you can see two different shapes for the Japanese hollies. They even look like different cultivars. And here, this is a shape that grows more as a shrub, so as a rounded kind of bush. And these shapes here, you can see this cultivar grows more upright, so would also be for use as hedges. You see the clear difference here. Now let's continue. This is a nice rhododendron. Rhododendrons generally are found a lot in England in woodlands, and they usually grow very tall because England has a really nice climate for evergreen plants. And we're coming to the big bamboo. So that also is a running type of bamboo. Clearly you can see all the large canes. I do not know which specific cultivar that is, but if I stand next to it, you can see the size and thickness of these green canes. Very beautiful. So this is a must be more like a giant bamboo cultivar because it's really tall and very thick. And so looking along the pathway here, you can see the idea behind, or what I think it is, that to grow this bamboo as like a forest. It is still kind of recognizable where the original plants were, but they just let them spread, it seems, to produce this kind of bamboo forest, which is really nice to walk through. let's continue our walk, and here are a few more things I wanted to show you. Here's more arrow bamboo, so also the running type of bamboo that we grow at home, but because it has these really long pointy leaves, it's a really nice bamboo. Is either a solitary plant or a hedge, or here like a larger shrub, so planted like that. It looks very nice. And here we have some ferns. They always give a nice accent in any kind of garden, really. And there are different types of ferns. Some die off, like the ferns we have at home. They usually die off. These ones, they seem to be more evergreen, the evergreen type, so they're green all year long. In the background is another beautiful example of a yew tree, as far as I can tell, really large. And behind it, a type of bamboo I've actually never seen. So if any one of you knows what cultivar that is, please let me know in the comments. Look at this, it has these green rings on the canes and this really nice green color and very small leaves actually. And it grows also very tall, so definitely this is a running type of bamboo. Now up coming behind me is another type of bamboo I want to show you. It looks like the golden bamboo, but the larger variety, so compared to the one we have at home. And you see they grow it here as a hedge slash like a little bamboo forest really. So I'm assuming it looks like to me that this bamboo can just grow freely here. And then just around the corner there I want to show you a weeping cherry tree. You can see also these cherry trees here, all this is very new and just planted not too long ago, meaning it was probably a few years, but this is not a mature area of the garden yet. And looking back here, you can see this beautiful weeping cherry. This is also often seen in Japan and looks really beautiful, especially during the spring blossom. And now I want to show you the most beautiful area of this Japanese garden, which is the Japanese tea garden, just right here. And this tea garden has actually just been cleaned off by so all the leaves on the ground by two gardeners, which we just spoke to. And this garden normally is not open for public, so it's fenced in, as you can see. But because they were really, really nice, they said we are actually allowed in to film in there, so we can show you all the details. So let's go. Let's start here. So first, the reason why this little area is not open to the public normally is because it's very delicate. That's because of the way everything's planted and the moss that grows everywhere. You can see this is what we're trying to achieve, like a full moss cover, what you typically see in traditional Japanese gardens. And also these stepping stones are really beautiful. They can, however, be so for public traffic, so to say, if there are lots of people walking, they can be a bit slippery. So this is another reason why this one is not open to the public. Now I want to talk you through the plants we can see here. I think I can identify most of them, and I'm going to get started right here. This is black bamboo again, and here you see the height it is pruned to. So the canes are just cut here, like I showed you in one of my bamboo videos, and it keeps it at this height for all the black bamboo shrubs or plants they're growing here. Again, this is a very nice and interesting approach. Same on this side. And turning around, I will try to be very careful with where I step. Another beautiful granite stone lantern placed here right at the entrance, which makes sense because it's there to light the pathway. And then let's continue on the stepping stones. And here, and this I find really interesting, is a corkscrew hazel, which I personally do not consider typically a plant found in Japanese gardens, but we also have a large one at home, which was already in our garden, and there's also one here which is also fairly large, and it looks really beautiful in winter with these new growth coming out and the twisted branches it has. So here the pathway splits, and I'm just looking which way we go. Let's go this way first. And if you have a look at this beautiful example of a pathway, so there the moss ends at a certain point, and then you just have basically gravel or soil or mix of, and in the middle you have these natural stepping stones laid out to walk on. This side here has been closed off with this boundary of stones. I'm assuming this is to avoid that the soil is like washing in. Okay, that's a Japanese maple. Very beautiful. And here this is this is a Tamokeyama. This is also a Japanese maple cultivar. That's a dissectum cultivar, so the ones with the sliced leaves. And I have shown you in one of my latest videos the Tamokeyama we have at home, also in the maple cultivar videos I have on the channel. And so this is a red Japanese maple, very beautiful in a weeping shape. So over there you can see tree peonies, which are a beautiful shrub. So they are deciduous, so they don't have any leaves at the moment. But these tree peonies, compared to the normal peonies, actually have a branch structure that remains, so that grows taller every year. So eventually they're going to grow into a smaller type of bush. Here we have a magnolia. You can see the buds coming out. Here the pathway splits and goes off to this little resting area. And here also we have this nice stone lantern again, and the this water area, so with the bamboo coming out of the ground, and you can see the water actually dripping here into that bamboo pipe and coming out at the bottom. So that's an interesting kind of setup. I've actually never seen in that kind of way. Normally, how I know it is that the bamboo pipe goes into the stone basin on the ground, but here this is solved in a different way. Very beautiful, really love it. And you can see these round stones that are used always where stone basins are, where water is coming out of the ground. This is so the water can run off again. So this is a typical setup and type of stone used for that. Here we have a Japanese maple that has a very thick trunk, so I'm assuming this is kept small by pruning back there. And moving on here in the background, so we're coming to the pond. And actually, just turning around, I've just seen back there is a weeping willow tree, which is seen in Japanese gardens. It's a typical tree. And I think, I'm not too familiar with those, but I think they're pruned on like a yearly basis and the branches grow out again to weep down. And then moving on, so I'm trying to be very delicate with where I step, you see, so that I do not disturb any of the moss. Okay. Here we can see a beautiful rock cascade. I'm assuming this is either in summertime run as a waterfall or just an interpretation of a waterfall and stays dry. Very beautiful. I love these darker rocks they have here. Unfortunately, we cannot source those at home. This is a low-growing Japanese maple, and it's a green globe cultivar. Most of these maples have tags on, so you can also identify them in winter, which is really good. And looking at the back here, we're coming now to cross the little bridge, and there's a dry creek or dry stream. And let's have a look of how they interpret the dry stream, how they designed this. Here you can see the small bridge they're using here to lead over this dry stream, and this is a very nice and typical interpretation of how dry streams are designed, looking at the stones. So they use darker flat stones that are stacked, and this interprets this is meant to be the flow of water. And this is often seen in gardens in Japan, as opposed to using gravel, what we use at home in our garden to design that stream. They use these flat stones here. And then also here a nice pine in the background at the shore of this dry creek, and this lantern there, another beautiful stone lantern. Now let's continue through to the tea house area. And here we find a typical gate. It usually has a little roof, and it's a beautiful bamboo gate and a bamboo fence, which is also found a lot in gardens in Japan. We do not have any of those, but at least here you can see an example outside of Japan how this looks and how this is done. This shrub here is also a type of bamboo. It looks like a sasa bamboo, which is usually a lower growing bamboo, so it grows like almost like a ground cover shrub, really, to be part of this entire nice entrance picture. So I'm going to walk through. So this area in front of the tea house is designed as a dry landscape area. So you see the moss area, and the pathway leading through goes over into a gravelled area. The pathway, however, staying the same, so this is a way to tie together. And here is the typical water basin setup I'm familiar with, that is seen a lot also in Japanese gardens. You see the stone basin, the tsukubai, and the bamboo pipe with the running water, and again the round stones around it so the water can run off easily, and typically found also next to it a lantern to light the area. So here you can now see the tea house, and when this garden was reinstated, the original foundation was actually dug out. And this entire tea garden has been designed by a Japanese garden designer, so it's very true and authentic to a traditional Japanese garden. Here I wanted to show you that detail about the water runoff. So instead of having a pipe going down into the ground, they have this kind of water runoff. So it runs in like a cascade, really, going down all the way to the ground, and typically found in gardens in Japan. Next to it you can see a large Japanese holly, nicely shaped next to the tea house, and this looks like a white pine in a really nice shape as well. And here we have another Tamukeyama maple, so a red-leafed cultivar that is weeping nicely in front of the tea house area here. This perspective, this is now turned away from the tea house, so looking into the garden, you can see that this area is clearly separated from the rest of the garden, but the element that ties it together is the dry creek with the stones that come through the fence, through another little bridge, and going into this area and running away on that side, or flowing away on that side. And that brings me to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. See you next time. Bye.